Genius director known for his work on Moulin Rouge, Romeo plus Juliet, and The Great Gatsby hinted that he might actually be a cineast. Baz Luhrmann mentioned his 5 favorite films of all time. This video explores these movies as we're curious to see the films that intrigued this great entertainment genius who loves emphasis on heightened reality work of art. Are you ready? Let's dive in. First on the list is Star 80, released in 1983. It's no wonder that the genius producer fell in love with this cinematic masterpiece based on true tragic events. So what was the film all about? You might have heard of the story before. The film mostly centers on the obsession and insanity of Snyder, which later cost him his life and the life of rising model Dorothy Stratton. At the beginning of the film, Snyder charms Stratton into being her date for her high school prom and eventually uses that same charm to make her take nude pics, which he then used to persuade a professional to create a nude portfolio for her. Without the approval of her mom, Snyder forged her signature on a consent form which he sent to Playboy, the magazine known for its sexually oriented content, alongside the nude portfolio. Stratton was later invited by Playboy to have her pics taken by an actual professional photographer in Los Angeles. Not long after that, she was made the Playmate of the Month by Hugh Hefner, the founder and publisher of the erotic magazine, after which she got to work as a bunny with lodgings and pay. At this point, Snyder pressured her to marry him, which she finally did. She was doing pretty well in her field and was even making impressive strides, and at some point, she got the attention of Aram Nicholas, a movie director who allowed her to read for a role in a film. This happened around the time Snyder was having a slump financially, and he was overshadowed by Stratton's success. The obsessed hubby hired a private investigator to look into Stratton, and he discovered that she was sleeping with the movie director. When Stratton later told him she was leaving him, he irrationally resorted to purchasing a shotgun. Unfortunately, Stratton had walked into a trap on the night of her death to discuss and finalize things with Snyder. What did the madman do though? He got enraged and charged at the defenseless girl. He raped her and then shot her before taking his own life as well. The makers of the film tried to stay true to the actual story as possible and even shot the suicide murder scene at the very place it happened. So, what did Baz have to say about this film? The star director noted that Bob Fosse's rhythmic storytelling style was alive all through the movie and told the story of Stratton as a kind of psychological thriller while taking a peek into the world of Playboy. Next, we have War and Peace, released in 1966-67. His next favorite film is a grander piece of art that tells the story of a love triangle while tastefully recounting the story and background of each character, incorporating the diversity in background. The film focuses on 3 main characters and how they struggle with problems specific to their culture, history, era, and most especially how they transcend their specificity. Baz was exceptionally taken in by the Russian theater and style of Russian acting and envied the film stock and cameras used for the film series. Let's get into the story of the film. Since the film series is an adaptation of a novel of the same name, it mostly follows the events of the novel. The first installment of the film series starts with the story of 2 friends, Pierre Bezukhov and Prince Andrei Bolkonsky. Pierre was the illegitimate son of a rich nobleman fighting for fulfillment and his inheritance. Meanwhile, Andrei joined the War of the Coalition, leaving his family to fight Napoleon. In the first part, the 2 friends were both married to different women, but they were heartbroken in different ways. Pierre discovered that his wife had been unfaithful to him, while Andrei got back home to witness the death of his wife. The second installment of the film series then focuses on Natasha Rostova, the lady they both fell in love with. Andrei met Natasha and fell for her. While trying to take things slow, Andrei traveled abroad and left Natasha for too long as she fell in love with the next handsome man that stopped by. She got so engrossed with her newfound love that she even planned to elope with him, but later changed her mind at the very last minute. Unfortunately, Andrei found out about this and dissolved their betrothal. Natasha broke down with this new development, and surprisingly, when Pierre was trying to comfort her, he declared his love for her. The third and fourth installments take us back to the battlefield. Andrei got wounded in battle and eventually forgave Natasha on his deathbed. In the end, Natasha and Pierre ended up together. Then we have Medium Cool, released in 1969. The next movie on Luhrmann's list really speaks volumes of the man's impeccable taste. The 1969 film was an iconic work known for its artistic blend of reality and fiction. The set of the movie was not really a set sometimes and was just actors improvising circumstances. The movie was well received at the point of its release and was described as a well-crafted masterpiece. The film centered around a television news cameraman, Casellas, who was emotionally detached and was just obsessed with taking professional pictures of audience-grabbing stories. Despite being mostly hardened toward both social and ethical issues, he was enraged when he found out the news station he worked at was supplying information gathered by the journalists and cameramen to the FBI. Due to this incident, the news station had to find an excuse to relieve him of his job. Then he meets a single single mother, Eileen, and her son, and later grows fond of them. One of the seamless blends of fiction and reality in the movie was the riot scene. Haskell Wexler had explained that he had planned his principal filming to coincide with the Democratic National Convention because he expected a riot to happen. Another iconic scene in the movie was the very last scene, which echoed the first scene of the movie. Casellas and Eileen were involved in a car crash that led to the tragic death of Eileen. Casellas himself was critically injured, but the driver who passed by their car only stopped to take a picture of the incident before leaving them. The very thing Casellas had done in the opening scene, ignoring the trapped woman in the car and being occupied with taking perfect shots. The link raises questions raised at the beginning of the film. When does filming actually stop and human responsibility of saving others come in? Next up is Fitzcarraldo, released in 1982. Honestly, it's quite surprising that this movie was amongst Luhrmann's favorite films because of its controversial production. To be fair, the movie was nominated for awards and even won one. The writer and director, Werner Herzog, won Best Director at the 1982 Cannes Film Festival, but it doesn't really seem to be worth the lives lost during production. Herzog was accused of exploiting the indigenous people used as extras for the film. These people were not only exploited, but some of them were injured on the set and a number of them even died. The tragic incidents on set included the crash of 2 small planes and the gruesome sawing off of a local Peruvian logger's foot to prevent the spread of snake venom lodged in it. Otherwise, the movie was actually an excellent work based on an actual real-life person, Carlos Fitzcarrald, and his transport of a dismantled steamboat over the Fitzcarrald Isthmus. So what drew Baz in? He was mostly drawn by the intense passion between the actor and director. To me, it's kind of a package deal, this film. You have to involve yourself in the movie, but it's really worth going beneath the film, up the jungle and into the psyche of the drama itself, he explained. The film centered on Brian Sweeney Fitzgerald, often called Fitzcarraldo, an Irishman with a relentless spirit despite having a huge project failure behind him. His opera-loving side took over, and he yearned to build an opera house in Iquitos, despite having absolutely no funds to embark on and complete such an extravagant venture. So what does he do? He embarks on an almost impossible quest to get rubber from an inaccessible location in hopes of using it to finance his opera house ambitions. To achieve this feat, he exploited the natives, and although they were initially successful, the chief of the natives dashed his high hopes by letting the rubber go to waste in an attempt to appease the gods. Some still compare Fitzcarraldo's exploitation to Herzog's unethical exploitation of the indigenous people. Finally, we have 8½, released in 1963. The last film on Luhrmann's list focuses on an Italian film director who is suffering from director's block. The story of Guido was narrated in a comedic light, but it depicts actual challenges that creative people suffer from once in a while. Baz's take on the film? 8½ to me is such a great dissertation on the whole, act of filmmaking and creativity. I mean, it's a little bit of a self-examination of the act of making a film. And that ends today's video. What are your opinions on these films? Tell us in the comments below. Leave us a like and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to hit that notification bell. Thanks for stopping by.